Good morning, Shavua Tov, Good Tavach. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in to Kila Chare's daily Sefirat Haomer counting of the Omer plus opportunities for spiritual growth for Sunday, May 22nd. Let's take a step back to Friday night. On Friday night, we counted 35 days of the Omer. Hayom Chamisha Ushloishem Yom Shehem Chamisha Shavuot LaOmer. That's 5 complete weeks of the Omer having been counted by that point. The sphera for the day, Friday night and all of Shabbos, was Malchut Shebechesed. Malchut Shebechesed, nobility or kingship, sovereignty in humility. Studies show that, here's what Mrs. Jurvel writes, studies show that the quality people seem most attracted to has nothing to do with looks, status, or success. In one recent poll, the most attractive quality agreed on by 85% of those polled was confidence. Sensing that someone is confident means sensing that they're comfortable in their own skin. They know who they are. Not surprisingly, people are comfortable with themselves or the comfortable we feel most comfortable with. Hod is the trait that we've been working on this week, and it encompasses the humility and modesty that comes from being in touch with our real strengths and weaknesses. We've learned this week about the fact that our entire pekel, everything that we have with us, comes from God. The fact that we have a perpetual connection with Him and the sense of humility and greatness, knowing that engenders. Today we bring a Hod to its completion by joining it with Malchut, nobility and majesty. Once we hone our sense of Hod, we can become comfortable with the lives we have and live our lives proudly and confidently. Malchus Shebahod, Malchus of Hod, is the sense of nobility and majesty we achieve by accepting our lives as a God-given whole. There's a good explanation here. Let me give the little illustration that she cites here. I hope you'll find it interesting. There's a wonderful idea I think of often, and I hope it resonates with you. Moshe Rabbeinu, as we know, was not allowed to enter into the land of Israel. He was only allowed to see it from afar, or from the edge. We can only imagine what intense longing that generated for Moshe. His entire mission, his life's work, had been to prepare the Jewish people, prepare us to enter the land of Israel, the land he loved so dearly and wanted so much. And all he was able to do was see it. So, Rav Yehuda Aryeh Leib Heine, who's the grandson of the 4th Ger Rebbe, the Imre Emes, writes a fascinating insight in the name of the Marsha, Reb Shmuel Edels, commentator in the Gemara. And it goes as follows. When God gave Moshe Rabbeinu the chance to see the land of Israel, Moshe's gaze, the way he looked at Israel, infused the land's atmosphere with a special quality, it's quite quoted in the Gemara in Bava Basra, Avira de Eretz Yisrael machkim. The air, the atmosphere of the land of Israel makes a person wise. From that point on, just the air alone, the atmosphere of Eretz Yisrael makes people wise. It is thanks to the gaze of Moshe Rabbeinu that Israel bestows wisdom upon all who enter its borders. Moshe Rabbeinu accomplished so much just by the way he saw Eretz Yisrael as God's precious, beautiful land. I always think, she writes, that if looking lovingly at a country could change its very atmosphere, imagine what could be done when we look at people with that kind of love. Seeing their goodness, seeing them as beautiful, and seeing them as being exactly what and whom Hashem intended them to be, that is a powerful thought. Now, not only can we feel the Malchus, the nobility of Hod in ourselves, we can transmit it. We can help others see themselves with the royal self-respect that comes from recognizing their own innate goodness and connection and potential. Call to action for Shabbos, not too late. Think of a person who made you feel good about yourself at some point in your life. Perhaps they looked at you with a smile that said, I get a kick out of you. You're someone special. Maybe they made you believe in yourself a little more. Or maybe their voice reminded you that you can even when you wanted to give up. Remember the way they made you feel. Think of someone in your life you can see in the very same way, including yourself. And imagine pouring out that feeling onto them, transmitting what you yourself once received. You're on your way to sharing the crown of Malchus. Thus endeth week 5. Now we're on to week 6. This is today's for Saturday night and Sunday. Hayom Shisha Ushloishem Yom Shem Chamisha Shavuos V'Yom Echad LaOmer. Today is 36 days, which are 5 weeks and 1 day of the Omer. Day 36, Chesed Shebi Yesod. Today our journey brings us to a new Midah, the trait of Yesod. Yesod means foundation. As a trait, Yesod refers to bonding with another. It defines the core, the foundation of our relationships with others and our work that we're engaging on together in the course of this Sefirat to Haomer. The elements we've learned and implemented thus far, kindness, discipline, harmony, endurance, and humility, are essentially tools that enable us to bond with one another. What do all of us crave in the deepest sense? Our deepest desire is for connection. Remember learning the attachment theory, how a child's attachment to the caregiver in the earliest years defines in many ways their attachments later in life. This emphasizes the centrality of the human need for connection, going so far as to propose that if a child does not get that foundation at the start of life, they will need to rectify it before forging healthy attachments later. As servants of God, we need to apply this not only to forging healthy connections with others, but also to the goal that's our most basic and our most lofty, forging and strengthening our connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bonding is the foundation, the yesod of our life. The first piece to explore within the midah of yesod is chesed in yesod, the loving kindness within our bonding. You may be wondering, why does that need exploration? By definition, if I want to bond someone, doesn't that mean there must be love? Not necessarily. Sometimes we're bound to someone because of fear. Sometimes we're bound out of duty or necessity. A bond does not always imply love. Our work today, however, is to analyze the bonds the bonds we have that should, but perhaps don't always revolve around love. Let's take a close look at those relationships in our life that matter, or the ones that we want to matter more, and ask ourselves a fundamental question: as much as we are bound to one another, am I really loving that person, him or her, within our bond? We will cut to the chase at this point. Today's call to action: is there someone in your life whom you're not particularly fond of, who needs something from you? It might be a service, an object, or your time or attention. Try to hone in on a beautiful quality of that person, or a time when you felt closer somehow. In your imagination, envision feeling fond thoughts while providing what they need. Then see if you can make it happen for real. Okay, we'll carry it with us. We'll do our best to put it into practice and let it improve our lives. Have a wonderful day, a good week, all good things. See you tomorrow.